Welcome to the Leverage Your Potential podcast. This podcast is hosted by the Director and Assistant Director of Menlo College's Office of Internships, Career Services, and Study Abroad, Dylan Houle and Kelly Davis, in partnership with Menlo's Content Creation Club.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Leverage Your Potential. We're here on an ICS coffee chat today. My name is Dylan, I'm your host, and I'm joined today by my co-host Bianca. Hi, Bianca.
Hi, everyone.
And today we're joined by a very special guest, Kyle Lubke, graduate of 2016. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Pretty great. How about you guys? Thanks for having me.
We're doing well. Thank you for taking a little bit of time on your Friday morning to speak with us, share your journey. And I'm going to give a brief introduction, but I want to cede the floor to you so you can tell us a little bit more about your career path. So you, Kyle, you graduated in class of 2016, magna cum laude. You were a double major, accounting and finance. While you were here at Menlo College, you were also a student athlete competing on the golf team. So I'm excited to talk with you a little bit about that and if you're still hitting the links. And now you're working in audit at Deloitte, one of the big four that so many of our accounting and finance students are interested in learning about how to get in there and what the interview process is like and what the day-to-day process is like in the audit department. So we're really excited to chat with you. Kyle, let me stop there. Why don't you just take a moment to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your career path, maybe how you got to Menlo College and then how you got to Deloitte.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Dylan. So starting from the beginning, I was born and raised in rural Western Montana, a real small town, and decided that I've always wanted to do something in, accounting and finance, and what better place to do it than come to Silicon Valley. Ended up coming to Menlo, as you said, played on the golf team, and that ended up working out. Wasn't sure if it was going to at the start, but played for I think two and a half years. And then that worked out. And then as part of our Menlo experience, we're required to do an internship, right? And I had two internships. First one at a bank in San Mateo, and then as part of my kind of accounting curriculum, did one at Deloitte, and was eventually extended a full-time after graduation at Deloitte, and I've been there for about 3 years now. Just finishing up my first year as a senior. So at that level, it's one where you kind of have more management, run a full client day to day, plan meetings, review work, plan work for other people. So that's kind of the level I'm at now. It's been super rewarding. Always looking to get involved with Menlo, and glad I can be here to talk about anything.
Thank you for sharing, Kyle. I think it's really brave to double major in accounting and finance. I'm a finance major only, and that's giving me plenty of work. And we always like to start with a big question, right? Talking about your why. So what problem in the world are you most passionate about solving? Or what issue are you most interested in engaging in and resolving?
Right, yeah, so being both the finance and accounting nerd that I am, I've always been passionate about financial literacy, whether it be anything from how to write a check, how to make a budget, balance your savings and checking accounts, to anything from setting up your retirement to investing, and then kind of beyond that. If you don't have the basic building blocks, you kind of fall apart from the start, and aren't able to get yourself financially stable once you get a job, once you graduate. How to manage those student loans. That's all very important from a young age, given that we're all graduating at 20, 21, 22 years old. And if you do things wrong, you can get yourself really on the wrong path and get yourself in a big hole that you can't get out of. So kind of at Menlo, I took on the role of, I was a resident assistant for 2 years in the dorms with all freshmen. So I got to be a freshman for 3 years. And then I was also a peer tutor, primarily for finance and accounting. So that was a very rewarding kind of time doing both of those, on campus jobs, being able to help freshmen as they're first moved out of their parents' house, going into the world. How do they do laundry? How do they go to class? How do they do everything on their own? You get a lot of those questions, and then it comes up to kind of midway through the year. We have no idea how to be an adult. We don't know anything about our finance, budgeting. So I had a lot of kind of roundtable dorm room discussions on some just basic finance topics, and realized that there was a real need for financial literacy. So it's become a passion of mine.
Kyle, that's a great answer, and something that resonates with me. I often think about my high school education, and why weren't we taught how to do our taxes and how to maintain a budget? I feel like some of those life skills, they're not in the traditional curriculum, so that when you do get to college and you're on your own, you realize, wow, I never learned about those things. And if you didn't have your parents teach you proactively, then you're kind of in the dark. So I'm not surprised at all, based on who you are, that you took on those roles, and you continue to do things to give back to the community to this very day. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So it's not surprising, but I think that's a great issue to tackle. In what ways are you keeping up with that passion right now? Are you still staying engaged with volunteering and financial literacy for high school students, college students? Are you doing that through some of the MAC initiatives, the Menlo Alumni Council initiatives?
Right, a little bit through MAC. I think we're working on a few other things as part of the MAC, but how I really stay involved in that area is one of our nonprofits we partner with at Deloitte. It's called City Year. Mm-hmm. It's a program that teams up with underserved schools, both in the Bay Area and nationwide. And the program places gap year students, so either right after college, right after high school, in the classroom in the school to kind of help out as a full-time volunteer. Oh, and Deloitte has put on a number of workshops and done some services with them, mentorship, to kind of help those students, not the students in the schools, but the mentors, to go and help them with financial literacy, writing a resume. What skills can we give them that they can then put into the education system, and be better for our communities going forward.
Excellent. I've heard of City Year. That's great that you're involved with them. Let's talk about the work that you're doing at Deloitte. What do you think, for those students that are listening right now and they hear the name Deloitte and they're thinking that's where I want to work, or one of the other big four, what do you think is a typical career path for people who work in audit, assurance, accounting, and how have the pandemic restrictions affected your industry generally and your role specifically?
Right. Yeah. So kind of two questions there. We'll take the first one, and then the pandemic impact is a completely different beast these days. So first one, kind of what we do day to day. So in college and in accounting, people kind of look at, do they want to go into public accounting, go to a big four? Do they want to go into, in industry, go straight into making journal entries for companies? And I obviously chose the Deloitte Big Four route. And kind of what we do day to day at a very high level is how, on the audit side, Deloitte as a whole does, anything associated with a dollar sign, we can do it. Whether it be taxes, consulting, IT, we do it all somewhere. But on the audit side, what we essentially do is when companies issue their earnings every quarter, we make sure those numbers are right. Whether that be through audit review procedures, go and look at different invoices, send out confirmations, talk to various, we talk to their lawyers, and then just interact with kind of all aspects of the company to make sure that everything from top to bottom is correct and functioning properly. And kind of the career path you go through is when you start out in public accounting as a first year, second year, third year, you do a lot of the work. So you get there, and a lot of people have this notion of you go to a big four, you go to an investment bank, any Wall Street company, and you're just going to go work a ton, right? It's kind of the negative stigma we have.
That's what everyone says. You put in, 50 to 80, 90 hours a week, and that's kind of intimidating to some students. Is it true?
That's only for our main busy seasons, and that might happen less than 4 or 6 weeks a year. During that time, you really just have to, that's part of the job. You have to do it. The rest of the year, Deloitte gives us 5 weeks off. And we're encouraged to take all of our time off. And they're good about enforcing work-life balance. And really kind of, and that's another question that a lot of people get, coming into a big firm, what is the work-life balance? And for me, it's really what do you need to make your work-life balance happen? Some people can go just turn into a machine and work always. Some people, like one person on my team has to go to yoga at 4 o'clock, 2 or 3 days a week. So we all know that's when she gets up and leaves at 4 o'clock, she's just going to yoga. She'll be back online later. And it's one of those where you have to pick your battles that you need for your personal health, well-being, being able to function as a human. And for me, that's not working on Saturdays. Never worked on Saturday. Started in college. Never did homework on Saturdays. That was just my day off. And really just figuring out what it means for you. And then
that's such a great rule that you set for yourself. And I think that's what a lot of people need to do is set that routine and carve out that time, whether it be yoga, exercise, or just dedicating a day to rest. I also try to avoid work on Saturdays. I'm pretty religious about it. Tell us about how the pandemic is shifting things around. I know that obviously because of the pandemic, you've been able to go back to Montana for this time. So tell us a little bit about how you're adjusting.
Yeah, so I think accounting in general has been impacted. Every company needs an accountant. Sales keep going on. Everybody keeps getting paid. That all falls on the accounting world. So kind of in the Bay Area, everything is already kind of online since it's tech. Where things get a lot tougher is for manufacturing companies that might have factories overseas. Those shut down. So products weren't moving, weren't being made, weren't being shipped. So that was a real impact across the industry, and that comes with financial implications later on down the line. Companies aren't making money; they have to lay people off. As we've seen, unemployment's super high right now, as you guys know in the jobs world, being in career services. But for me on the audit side, hasn't been too bad being in tech. I've been able to come up here to Montana for a couple of weeks, spend some time with family, work remote, and it's kind of another great thing about being at the Big Four is you kind of can, you have your audits that you have to do, your tax projects you have to do, but we can really be timeline based and workload based, where you have your list of tasks, and if you get them done and do them well, you can kind of write your own schedule more so, rather than having to go sit at a desk from 9 to 5. That's one of the big perks for me of being at a Big Four, that looking at this pandemic and how it's wreaked havoc across all different industries. I know you guys at Menlo are currently working through your plans of reopening over the next couple of weeks for the fall semester. And it's just one of those that you have to stay calm through and figure out your personal and both work and personal plan of action, and just remain calm and don't stress about it. Get it done.
Thank you for sharing those behind the curtains knowledge of how the pandemic has affected the accounting industry. I would never think that the manufacturing industry that were affected also impact the accounting industry, and that's obvious, but it's also good to know, because I thought it as accounting as like, oh my God, a complete safe industry. They're not affected at all. Everybody's still making dollar signs, they're still working a lot, but there are few companies that are not, right? So it's interesting to know. And I hope everything comes back up and running for all the industries sooner than later. We know, let's see how the next years are going to go, and also for all the higher education institutions. And when you talk about being an accounting and finance major, we know there are a lot of challenges. A lot of our listeners are also accounting or finance, or accounting and finance. Based on your experience of being a Menlo College alum and now working at Deloitte, what are 3 key pieces of advice you'd like to pass along to students currently majoring in accounting and finance?
Yeah, that's a great question, and kind of I came up with 3 that were crucial to me, not only in college as I was going through the process of learning these concepts and ideas, but then come very much more apparent when you start your first day on the job and realize that you know absolutely nothing. So that's the biggest one is just don't stress about it. You know, when any company hires you, they're going to expect you to have the basics, but you're not going to be expected to go hop in a meeting with somebody on the board of directors or the audit committee and be able to discuss super technical accounting matters. And if you think that's what you're going to do, it's probably not the case, and you don't need to stress about technical matters. If you stress, that just makes your job so much harder. So that being said, the first kind of big piece of advice is just get really good at the basics. I think at Menlo, accounting 201 and finance, I think it's at 320, are kind of the two classes that teach you the basics. What is a debit? What is a credit? How does present value work? Just the basics of finance and accounting, and those will continue with you through all the way through, staff, senior, manager, partner. Even at my level, I'm having technical accounting discussions with partners, and they say, what are the debits and credits of this transaction, right? Just the super basics of accounting. Somebody that's experienced and super technical, just throwing it back to day one, right? So it's important to learn the basics, get really good at the basics, and there's always going to be somebody up above you that you can ask for super technical knowledge, right? So first one is just learn the basics. Then the second piece is being super detail oriented. Finance accounting people often err on the side of getting too in the details. On the second important piece is, look at the business as a whole. What's going on. As Bianchi mentioned, you didn't think, manufacturing would have an accounting impact, right? To think of it, like if our factories overseas aren't making products, then we aren't getting those products to the store, they aren't getting sold, then we don't make money, we can't pay our people, right? It's a whole big process that accounting deals with every aspect of that. So if you don't see the big picture, you get lost really quick, and it's a very bad rabbit hole to get into. And every person starting out in probably any industry, but especially accounting and finance, get themselves super in the details, and just get lost, and it's just not a place you want to be. So understand the big picture. And then the third one, being a numbers geek, you don't realize how much writing you're going to have to do. So being finance and accounting, you think, you're going to do all numbers, all math all day. Absolutely not the case. What you do all day is you write about numbers, whether that be writing, technical accounting memos where you have to, write technically, whether it's, emailing, partners, your team, the client. There's a lot more writing and communication that you don't think about in the classroom. As in the classroom, we learn, a lot of the technical aspects. But then just being able to communicate your thoughts clearly, and get that down on paper, and write a well-rounded whatever you're writing about, is very, very important and a big surprise when you start on day one.
Those are 3 great pieces of advice. Be an expert on the basics, be detail-oriented, and pay attention to your writing skills and make sure that you don't let those go by the wayside. I think it's that last one strikes me as particularly important, and from a kind of a consulting perspective, when Deloitte comes in to another company and then has to kind of communicate all of their findings. Oftentimes the person that you might be talking to is not at the same level of expertise with this terminology as you are. So it's kind of about translating those complex concepts. Is that correct? Is that what you're getting at as well?
Right, exactly. You never know who you're going to be talking to, and communication is key in any conversation. So I think you're spot on there, Dylan. It's only certain people you're going to be able to go out and talk about technical accounting with on the street, but you have a conversation every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring it to Menlo College a little bit and your role now. You've been a member of the Menlo Alumni Council, affectionately known as the MAC, since 2018. What first motivated you to get involved, and what continues to motivate you to stay engaged with your alma mater? And what would you say to other alumni who are out there listening and they're thinking about getting connected? What would you say to them?
Right. Yeah. Good point. Very, very important. Going to college, getting your degree is very important. And the thing you don't realize is that that's your first kind of network and your first community that you're really a part of. It's going to be with you both personally and professionally, really for the rest of your life. So what motivates me is keep that community energized and involved. For my first day as a freshman on campus, it's you come and you kind of wonder what's that going to be like, and you look to people, upperclassmen above you that help you out. You look to the faculty and staff, and alumni, and they're always there to help you. And so now my goal as an alumni, and being on the MAC is to do for those students what people above me did for me. Right. Whether it be helping them get a job, helping them just talk through their classes, giving personal career advice. It's all very important. And when we want our community to be vibrant and want our our future to be bright. So that's what keeps me energized to be involved. And I think the biggest message to my fellow alumni would be, there's lots of ways to get involved. A lot of times when you think, for higher education institutions, when they reach out, the bad image they get is, we just want your money. And that's not at all the case. Right, Dylan, in your line of work, you guys are always looking for people to review resumes, hire students for internships, do mock interviews. These are all great ways to get involved, especially for those of you that are, a couple years out of college. You've been working for a few years. You don't really know how to give back, and aren't able to give back financially. It's very easy to get on the phone and have an hour conversation, and that can be a big impact on a student's life, or a big impact on a different aspect of the college. So, it's not only about being able to give back financially, just to pick up the phone or write an email and say, hey, I'm here to do something. How can I help? And that's the biggest thing. To think about doing it for the students and doing it for what you enjoyed at the college is the way to get the most about giving back.
I love that answer. And, we so appreciate you staying engaged with the college. It's, alumni like you that do make the community vibrant. And picking up on your first point, it's the first network that you join. I often tell students and alumni who have graduated, you didn't just pay for that degree. You didn't just pay for the classes. That wasn't all your tuition dollars paid for. Part of it was, now you're part of the club. You are part of this network for life. That's one of the big advantages of attending any college is, here at Menlo College, you have 7,000 people on LinkedIn, double that around the world. And those are all people that you can reach out to and say, hey, I'm an Oak, you're an Oak, can you help? And oftentimes people are likely to say yes because you have that shared connection. So I think that's a great point, Kyle. One of the things that you did here at Menlo College was you competed on the men's golf team. And I'm a very amateur golfer myself. I have a pretty severe handicap. We won't talk about it. But as a student, you played on the golf team. Are you still hitting the links regularly? And I think one of the myths about golf is that, a lot of business gets done on the golf course. I'm wondering if you found that to be true in your line of work, and are you still playing today?
Yeah, I make sure to hit the links, a few times a month. Keep it straight, keep it airborne. But those are the real goals now. And yeah, I think golf's one of those things that you can take to business, take to just personal networking. You can just go have a fun, relaxing round on the weekends. I haven't gotten to a level where I have a lot of clients and a lot of business on the course, but we definitely do it to Deloitte. Lot of our people we work with like to golf, both on the Deloitte side and the client side. So there are a lot of people that go out and do not necessarily make deals, but that's part of the relationship, right? You are always looking to build relationships and build stronger bonds with people, and golf's a great way to do it. But for now, I'm just trying to keep it airborne.
That's amazing. I have never played golf before, and maybe that's one of my goals for 2021, right? Right now, no chance. There's no way I can do it from home, but maybe I will one day. And one of our traditional questions here at Leverage Your Potential, we appreciate so much that our audience is tuning in and taking the time to listen to our conversations. And we also like to recommend them other great content. So what is some of the books or movies or podcasts that you've been enjoying during this time at home? And which of them would you recommend to our audience?
Right. Yeah, I think so I got two recommendations. One podcast, one show. Show I've been watching, I've been rewatching White Collar for the second time. It's about a kind of an art thief that joins the FBI and helps them solve all these white collar crimes. Very interesting from like a historical and both financial perspective. And it makes you think a lot, which I've always been one that's into shows that make you think a lot. And then on the business side, going to a business school, one podcast that I listen to a lot of times when I'm driving is Planet Money. And they'll take a random economics, finance, anything question, just how the world works, and really dig into it. So some of their, like one of their podcasts that I remember most was "Can You Buy Anything for a Penny?" And they went through the whole process of how to find something that you can buy for a penny.
I mean, could you? Was there something
What they got to was like a nail, but you get like 100 of them for 3 cents. So it's less than a penny, but you can't just buy one. I think was roughly the conclusion. But with that, they'll take things like that you just don't think about at all in your day-to-day life, and kind of go through the whole beginning to end process. So very, very interesting, and it's one that a lot of professors on campus listen to. I think one of my finance professors, Dima Washinsky, recommended it to me, and now it's my CART podcast.
I've heard of that one. That's an NPR podcast, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're listening out there and you want to make a good impression on your professors or on people that you might be interviewing with in the finance and accounting world, take a listen to a few episodes of Planet Money. Well, Kyle, thanks for joining Bianca and I today. We really appreciate you spending your Friday morning with us, sharing some of your advice, your perspective. And to everyone out there, this has been another episode of Leverage Your Potential. You can listen to this episode and all of our other episodes on anchor.fm. And you can also visit us at blog.menlo.edu/career-services. Thank you, everyone. Make it a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you, Kyle. That was great.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Leverage Your Potential podcast. Episodes are posted weekly and can be found on our blog at blog.menlo.edu/career-services/. Make it a great day.